Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Inside Talk Show. I'm Carla Elizondo. We are continuing the reading of Neville Goddard's Awakened Imagination. We are on chapter 2, Sealed Instructions, but we're on part 3. I read a couple pages the past couple days, and we are on the last tidbit of Sealed Instructions. Let's get right into it. So we are on Awakened Imagination, chapter 2 by Neville Goddard. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may also be. That is a scripture that I'm sure you've heard. In my Father's house there are many mansions. So basically, he's saying, look, in God, there are so many dreams and mansions, unbelievable, you couldn't even fathom. I'm telling you this. If it weren't true, trust me, I would tell you. God's saying, I go prepare a place. I prepare it for you. I build the house. I'm there for you. And if I go and prepare it for you, trust me, I'll be there to welcome you with open arms. Wherever I am, you can be also. So it's true. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. In your mind, there are many dreams, and they're a real place. You can really go there. It's real. Remember, there is a place. Okay. By sleeping in my Father's house, in my imagination, as though I slept there in the flesh, I fused my imagination with that state and was compelled to experience the state into the flesh also. So vivid was this state to me. Oh, he's talking about Barbados, remember? Ooh, okay. So by sleeping, so Neville's talking about sleeping in his father's house in Barbados. So by sleeping in my father's house, in my imagination, as though I slept there in the flesh, I fused my imagination with that state and was compelled to experience that state in flesh also. So vivid was this state to me, I could have been seen in my, okay. So vivid was this state to me, I could have been seen in my Father's house had any sensitive entered the room where in imagination I was sleeping. A man can be seen where in imagination he is, for a man must be where his imagination is, for his imagination is himself. What he's talking about here is like, this is like real kind of energetic high level stuff. When people say, I could have sworn I seen you. Like when you see apparitions or like visions of people, it's because in their mind they were there. That's like by location. This is really big stuff. So we're just going to pass that up. Okay. Okay, so it says, so a man can be seen where in imagination he is, for a man must be where his imagination is, for his imagination is himself. This I know from experience, for I have seen by a few to whom I desire to be seen, when physically I was hundreds of miles away. I, by the intensity of my imagination and feeling, imagining and feeling myself to be in Barbados, instead of merely thinking of Barbados, had spanned the vast Atlantic to influence my brother into desiring my presence to complete the family circle at Christmas. Thinking from the end, from the feeling of my wish fulfilled, was the source of everything that happened as an outer cause, such as my brother's impulse to send me a steamship ticket, and it was also the cause of everything that appeared as results. In Ideas of Good and Evil, W.B. Yeats, having described a few experiences similar to this experience of mine, he writes, if all who have described events like this have not dreamed, we should rewrite our histories, for all men, certainly all imaginative men, must be forever casting forth enchantments, glamour, illusions, and all men, especially tranquil men, who have no powerful egotistic life, must be continually passing under their power. Determined imagination, thinking from the end, is the beginning of all miracles. If you hear nothing else today, remember that. Determined imagination, thinking from the end, you're already there, is the beginning of all miracles. I I would like to give you an immense belief in miracles, but a miracle is only the name given by those who have no knowledge of the power and function of imagination to the works of imagination. Imagining oneself into the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the means by which a new state is entered. This gives the state the quality of isness. Hermes tells us that which is manifested. That which has been or shall be is unmanifested. Let me read that again. That which is manifested. That which has been or shall be is unmanifested, but not dead. For soul, the eternal activity of God animates all things. Okay. So that which is here and now is manifested. That which has been in the past or will be in the future is unmanifested, but it's not dead. For soul, the eternal activity of God animates all things. The future must become the present in the imagination of the one who would wisely and consciously create circumstances. We've talked about that before. Where's my little drawing? So the future must become the present. I changed it to, we have to just simply understand that the future, the present is the future. Okay? Just change the way we think of it, because whatever we're thinking right now will be our future. We are truly creating our future right now by the way we're thinking and feeling. So the future must become the present in the imagination of the one who would wisely and consciously create circumstances. We've talked about this before. That's your past. Here's your present. Your imagination is like your headlight into the future. And remember, you're going towards the direction of wherever your light is shining. Whatever you hold in your imagination and focus on, literally you're focusing on it, you're going to go towards it. We must live in the future, but in the present. So the future becomes the present. What are you focusing on right now? Because that's where you'll be in the future. Just like a motorcycle. If you're in the complete black dark and all you have is your motorcycle and your headlight, if your headlight's shining on a big tree, you might want to move the headlight, because if you don't move the headlight, you're going to crash right into that tree, because that's where your light is shining, aka right in front of you, your direction of motion. Just like our minds, we have that inner headlight, our thoughts. Wherever our thoughts are shining, that's where we're going towards, whether we like it or not. So that's why it's so important to guard your mind. Don't get emotionally involved in negative thoughts or in thoughts or circumstances you don't want. Okay, that just takes just practice and habit. So the future must become the present in the imagination of one who would wisely and consciously create circumstances. We must translate vision into being, thinking of into thinking from. So we must translate vision into being and thinking of into thinking from. Okay. So wherever we're thinking in the future, we must be it now. And whatever we're thinking of, we must be from it now, from that state. Thinking from the end is an intense perception of the world of fulfilled desire. Thinking from the state desired is creative living. Ignorance of this ability to think from the end is bondage. It is the root of all bondage with which man is bound. To passively surrender to the evidence of the senses underestimates the capacities of the inner self. Y'all, I'm gonna underline that. Remember, this is the first time I'm reading this. All right. So, let's bring our little, so this stick figure is our mind, represents our mind. This is our head. Conscious thinking mind. This is where ideas and thoughts from the outside world come into our five senses: see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Two parts of the mind: conscious thinking mind, subconscious emotional feeling mind. And remember, it doesn't matter what's in your thinking mind. It only matters what's in your emotional mind. And it comes through this way. You hear something, you agree with it or not. It's your choice to kick it out if you don't like it. But if you pass it down to the next step and get emotionally involved with it, let it get under your skin, start feeling things, it will come to pass. That's why it's important to only spend your emotion, plant the seeds in your heart of the things you want, because whatever's here will be here. It's not whatever's here will be here. It's whatever's here will be here. You can think all day and know every single thing in the world and have PhDs and all kinds of education and, certifications and knowledge and accolades. But all of that won't be here unless it's here. Like I've said in the past, we said there's a lot of people who are graduating who before COVID, PhDs, know all this stuff. They're not successful in some areas of life. Maybe they're winning in some, but they're absolutely miserable in their relationships. They don't know how to communicate, or they don't know how to take care of their health. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. We see physicians, wheezing and waddling in, overweight, high blood pressure. They know how to be healthy, but they're not emotionally involved with it. So the results, you know what I'm saying. Anyways. So here is a metal representation, my friend Kyle. Thank you, Kyle, again, for my beautiful gift of my stick figure. So these are our antennas on top of our head. See, hear, smell, taste, touch, our 5 senses to our outside world. So it says, to passively surrender to the evidence of the senses. So if we passively surrender and just accept everything that we hear, see, smell, taste, touch, just put, we surrender, we absolutely just accept it into our emotional mind. We don't kick anything out. We just surrender. Everything just falls right into our heart. To passively surrender to the evidence of the senses underestimates the capacity of the inner self. So to not guard your mind, to let everything in, get triggered, allow yourself to get triggered, allow yourself to get bothered, allow yourself to worry, fear, doubt. That underestimates the huge capacities of your inner self, the powers we have that we've been talking about. Once a person accepts thinking from the end as a creative principle in which they can cooperate, then they are redeemed from the absurdity of ever attempting to achieve their objective by merely thinking of it. That's funny. So once we can accept thinking from, really living in our dream, thinking from it, this is a perfect example and something that we can do, something you can do. I've mentioned before, I really truly love, am in love with this particular car. Well, the work that I do and my mentors and stuff, Carla, go test drive it. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. I don't have the money for it yet. They're going to think I'm wasting their time. It doesn't matter. If you want it, go get emotionally involved with it. So that was thinking from the end. I was actually sitting my ass in the car. I was in the car. Talk about thinking from your goal. I was there. I had my hands wrapped around the steering wheel. I was thinking from my dream, one of my dreams. And remember, it's not actually about the car. It's about the feeling, just, of whatever. I don't have to explain it. It's just a feeling of it. You like what you like, and I'm worthy of it. And the fact that the desire is there is that I can have it. Because of course I can drive any crappy beat up car, but why would I do that when I can have a car like that? If we can have anything we ever want, why settle for something lower that reflects your self-worth, your self-confidence? Okay. I could have showed up today in my pajamas, having not done my hair, but I had the option, and I love to take care of myself and get ready and show up. And I'm sure you appreciate it too, because you don't want to see this once you're away. So just kidding, I'm cute. But anyways, but do you see what I'm saying? Of course, there's an option to do nothing or go for your goal. Why would we settle for this? This is so much more fun. And all you learn about yourself on the way. It makes life fun. You're always growing. Everything's new all the time. So again, once we think from the end, I'm in my car, literally in my car. But now I have that feeling. And even if I never went and test drove it, sitting there feeling that I'm really in the car. I'm in the car. Instead of just thinking of the car. The moment that I accept thinking from the car as the creative principle in which I can cooperate with, then I'm redeemed from the craziness of ever attempting to achieve my dream of having that car by just thinking of it, looking at a catalog, thinking of it. Yeah, one day. Remember, it would just keep it always out here if I'm just thinking of my car. I'll continue to stay frustrated. Just thinking of my car. The carrot is my car. The carrot represents whatever you want. It could be a marriage. It could be a baby. It could be a certain weight. It could be a trip. It could be anything that gives you joy. A better relationship with your parents. Whatever the carrot is. If we always just think of it, it will always just be in front of us. Because remember, the future never really comes. It's always here and now. The future must become the present. The present must become the future. We have it. Think from it. I can't think of my car. I got to think from my car. If I have the option to go test drive it, great. But even if I didn't, closing my eyes, even sitting in my own car wrapped around the steering wheel, tape a little emblem on your, I've done that. I didn't tape it, but even when I sent my hands on my own steering wheel of my Honda, love my Honda, and I'm grateful for my Honda. I love my Honda. But I put a sticker of the Tesla symbol on I photoshopped it. It looks hilarious, but I love it. It gets me into the spirit of it. It's fun. Okay? That's thinking from it. We're free from the crazy thought of just thinking of it. One day. So construct all ends according to the pattern of fulfilled desire. The whole of life is just the appeasement of hunger. Ooh, the whole of life. All of our life is just the appeasement of hunger. And the infinite states of consciousness from which a man can view the world are purely a means of satisfying that hunger. I guess, right? We have to keep physically eating food to stay alive, nourishing our physical bodies, getting caloric intake for fuel and for energy. Remember, as above, so below, as inside, outside. So let's think about this. As we have to feed our physical bodies actual calories and food to fuel and run and work and operate and pump and work and all this, we have to feed our soul and our spirit and our desires. So our physical hunger in our stomach, as it is to the outside world that we must feed with solid food that we can see, our spiritual hunger, our desires need to be fed imaginative food to run on. Because I think that's the problem. It was with me, with a lot of people. Is it with you? Are you starving spiritually, emotionally? Is your soul hungry? Have you fed your soul? I think it can be a big problem, and it's the truth. Like I said, I'm a therapist. A lot of people who come in for depression and anxiety, it's not a psychological problem they're having. It's a spiritual crisis. It's an emotional dark night of the soul that is having symptoms in their body, because whatever's inside will be expressed. Not all the time, but I would say a lot more than we think. It's not really a psychological problem, it's a spiritual problem. The whole of life is just the appeasement of hunger, and the infinite states of consciousness from which a man can view the world are purely a means of satisfying that hunger. The principle upon which each state is organized is some form of hunger to lift the passion for self-gratification to even higher and higher levels of experience. Desire is the mainspring of the mental machinery. I literally just said that. Desire is like the hunger to the mental machinery. So hunger is desire, body has hunger, mind has desire. So hunger to the body's functions, desire is to the mental functions, spiritual functions. It is a blessed thing. It is a right and natural craving, which has a state of consciousness as its right and natural satisfaction. But one thing I do, forgetting the things that are behind and stretching forward to the things which are before, I press on toward a goal. I press on toward the goal. It is necessary to have an aim in life. Ooh, it really is. It's so, I talk about my goal cards, people. I mean, I have a lot of goal cards. Goal cards. This is the program I teach. You want to change your life, sign up. But in all seriousness, I'll tell you later. But we write our goal. I'm so happy and grateful now that, and we write our goal. It is necessary to have an aim in life. If you don't have a goal, and it doesn't have to be a big rah-rah goal. It could be even a small goal. Like I said, when I'm working with someone with depression, getting to their mailbox is a goal. Brushing their teeth in the morning is a goal. Something to look forward to. Doing one sit-up is a goal. If they've never exercised a day in their life. So it doesn't matter what the goal is. It is necessary to have an aim in life or a goal. Because if you don't, you're headed towards the dying, and it's the internal dying. It is necessary to have an aim in life. Without an aim in life, we drift. You know I love me some metaphors of ships, okay? I coach and I am coached, okay? I'm the real deal. So right now, one of my lessons, I'm taking a Lead the Field program from the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and it is a worthy destination. I'm on lesson 3. Worthy destination. And it talks a lot about ships, the metaphors of ships. They were saying, if you ask the captain of a ship where their next port of call is, they can tell you in a second. Of course they can, because they know where they're going. They have a destination. They don't just pack up a bunch of stuff, get all the people on board, and go, let's see where we end up. No, they have a destination. Even though, and it says, if you ask the captain their next port of call, they'll tell you in a second. Even though 95% of the course, they can't see the destination, but they know they're moving towards it. Because they have a plan. They have it routed. They've taken the precautions, whatever, they prepared. And it says for every port, any like land entrance, there's hundreds of miles of rocky coast. Do you think that you are going to just by accident easily sail through rocky and then end up at your harbor? No, you have to be conscious of a plan to get there and know where you're going, or you will just be drifting through the sea of life and never get anywhere, and life will pass you by. I don't mean that to scare you, but it's the truth. So it is necessary to have an aim in life. Without an aim, we drift. What wantest thou of me? Is the implied question asked most often by the central figure of the Gospels. In defining your aim, you must want it. What do you want? That's the goal. That's your goal. If you're trying to think of a goal in life, what do you want? What do you want? And I'm telling you right now, I have changed my life doing things and really putting work into this. I can show you how to do it with full confidence because I have done it. All my information's here. You need to contact me yesterday. As the hart panteth after the water brook, so panteth my soul after thee, O God. It is lack of this passionate direction to life that makes man fail of accomplishment. The spanning of the bridge between desire, thinking of, and satisfaction, thinking from, is all important. We must move mentally from thinking of the end to thinking from the end. This reason could never do. So we must move mentally from thinking of to thinking from the end. This reason could never do. Reasoning in our mind, the logical part, can't do it because it can't see it. That's a part of the outer world. We need the evidence. We got to drop down to the imagination, that emotional, unseen world. By its nature, reason, the reasoning factor, by its nature, it is restricted to the evidence of the senses, to only what it can see. But imagination, having no such limitation, it can go there. I equate it, in a way to the brain, because, the whole reason why we use this in our teachings of the mind, the stick figure, this is the mind. This is a picture of the mind. Because the brain, usually when you think of the mind, people think of the brain. The brain is not the mind. The mind is energy. We think of the heart, the sac of tissue. Is that where all your love come? All the love? No, your love is limitless. My mind right now could be anywhere in the world. It's limitless. But my brain can only be in this dome. Okay? So we must move mentally from thinking of the end to thinking from the end. This reason, our conscious thinking mind, could never do. By its nature, it's restricted to the evidence of the senses, but imagination, having no such limitation, can. Desire exists to be gratified in the activity of imagination. Through imagination, man escapes from the limitation of the senses and the bondage of reason. We think about that, people like The Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith, that movie based on the man in San Francisco and his son. All of his senses would tell him he's poor, he's homeless, he has no hope, he has no money. But through his imagination, he could escape the limitations that the senses told him and get out of it. And he did. That's how anybody gets out of anything. That's how me, we are all going to get from a state we don't want to a state we want. Has to be in our imagination first. We can't brute force it outside. It's not going to work. Through imagination, we escape from the limitation of the senses and the bondage of reason. There is no stopping the person who can think from the end. Nothing can stop them. We create the means and grow our way out of limitation into ever greater and greater mansions of the Lord. It does not matter what we have been or what we are. It doesn't matter what we've been or what we are. All that matters is, what do we want? We know that the world is a manifestation of the mental activity which goes on within ourselves. So we strive to determine and control the ends from which we think. In our imagination, we dwell in the end, confident that we shall dwell there in the flesh also. We put our whole trust in the feeling of the wish fulfilled and live by committing ourselves to that state. For the art of fortune is to tempt us so to do. Like the man at the pool of Bethesda, he is ready for the moving of the waters of imagination, knowing that every desire is ripe grain to him who knows how to think from the end. He is indifferent to mere reasonable probability and confident that through continuous imagination, his assumptions will harden into fact. But how to persuade people everywhere that thinking from the end is the only living, how to foster it in every activity of a person, how to reveal it as the plenitude of life and not the compensation of the disappointed, that is the problem. Ain't that the truth? How to persuade, you know what I would say? It's not my job. We literally can't change. Okay. Life is a controllable thing. We can experience that. Okay, you can experience what you please once you realize that you are his son and that you are what you are by virtue of the state of consciousness from which you think and view the world. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. And remember, you know, he's talking in traditional Christian terms, but remember, God, Neville talks about God is imagination, and it's within us. It's not off planet. It's not a man on a cloud. Rethink what you think about God. If just for a month, tell me how it goes. Think of God as your imagination, and it exists inside of your mind. God is with you always. Imagination is with you always. And that is the ultimate power. The Lord, the God, is in your mind. Life is a controllable thing. You can't experience what you please once you realize that you are his son and that you are what you are by virtue of the state of consciousness from which you think and view the world. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Is that not beautiful? Awaken imagination. Chapter 2, love it. We'll continue on Monday. As always, I've been loving doing these readings. And just to remind you guys, some of you know, I am a therapist. I am a coach. I would absolutely love to work with you. I'm really focusing on the coaching. I teach a 6-month program. It will change your life. Where do you see yourself in 6 months, y'all? 6 months is January, February of 2022. Think of where you're at now, summer of 2021. How the next few months will go. It's going to be the holidays. Is it going to be the same old, and you're just going to go into 2022 the same way you entered 2021? If you want to change that, if you want to work with me, it would be my absolute pleasure. Please contact me. All my information's here. Set up a free consult call. I would love to hear from you, or just answer any questions you have. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you on Monday.